Welcome to episode 40 of the Rise Fitness Nutrition Podcast. I am your host, Carlo. Today we are briefly talking about keto diet. I want to show a little bit about my experience and give you a couple of hints to understand if it is good for you, bad for you, if you should try it or not. Are you curious about it? Happy listening! Question of the day. Should you try the keto diet or should you not? And why? If you don't know what the keto or ketogenic diet is, let me overly simplify the idea behind it so you can have a quick understanding what is it about and you can make your own considerations before going forward and listen to the rest of this podcast. The ketogenic diet basically works like this. You greatly reduce the carbohydrates in your diet, and when I say greatly, I basically mean zero. And if not 0 grams a day, maybe somewhat around 20-50 grams a day tops. You do this every day so that your body runs out of glucose over the course of a few days, and in the worst cases a few weeks. And basically when your body has no more glucose, it has to find a different source of energy for your daily life activities, your workout, and whatever you do to basically stay alive. And if you don't have any carbohydrates in your diet, the moment you run out of glucose, your body will have to use fat as a source of energy. And it will turn fat into ketones, and ketones will basically power you up. As simple as that. And this is super oversimplified. But that's what it is. You go basically 0 carbohydrates, your body runs out of the main storage of energy, which is glucose, and therefore it has to use fat to run the machine. When that moment happens, you turn to ketosis, and therefore you turn into a fat-burning machine. Now, this on paper sounds pretty awesome because everybody wants to lose fat. You want to burn fat, so the best idea ever should be to use fat as a main source of energy, right? You burn more fat, you lose fat. Simple. But there's a huge but in this. And this is the huge but that comes with every kind of diet you might ever approach in your life, or you might ever encounter on Instagram or any other kind of social media, website, magazine, book, whatever. Every diet works as long as you are in calorie deficit. And I know I say this every time, oh my god, you gotta hate this. But that's the reality. Anyway, let's forget about this for 1 second. What happens when you start a 0 carbohydrates diet? And I'm saying this because I did try myself, because I was curious. Although, I had to make a little disclaimer. The majority of people, when they go ahead and try this diet, they try to stick with it at least for 30 days. Now, I did stick with it, but for a little bit longer than 10 days, around 13 days. And the reason is simple, and I will explain you later about it, but life gets in the way. So what happens to your body when you start going on a 0 carbohydrates diet? And buckle up, because it's quite a ride. So the very first couple of days, the very first few days, nothing major will happen because chances are in your body, you do have storage of glucose. Your body has all it needs to go ahead and stay without any kind of glucose or carbohydrates for a few days with 0 problems. But the problem starts arising when you keep on going with 0 carbohydrates for a consistent amount of time. And maybe on top of it, you also put some intermittent fasting, and maybe on top of that as well you put some heavy workout. So you're telling your body to go ahead and use all of its storage of glucose quickly because you need energy for your daily life, and your body doesn't know what's going on, so your body will say, okay, fine, let's do it. It is the glucose that you need. Take it, use it. So at the beginning of the ketogenic diet, since you cut the carbohydrates, since you're using all the glucose, something super fast happens. That is, you lose weight fast. And that feels amazing, like, wow, I'm losing weight so fast, look at me, so shredded. Yeah, but the point is that the weight that you're losing is not fat. The weight that you're losing is water. Because when you deplete your body of glucose, you basically release also a lot of water with it. When you eat carbohydrates are kind of a sponge. So they absorb water. When you don't eat the carbohydrates anymore, you run out of the glucose that's filling up your muscle and your cells, and therefore you sort of shrink. I'm not saying that you become like from zero to hero in 1 week. I'm just saying that you do lose weight and you look slimmer faster because you're losing water weight. But the point is that you lose water weight up to a certain point until you don't have any much glucose left. And then what happens? Well, like every diet, if you're not in a calorie deficit, you will plateau and your body weight will not change. Oh, but I'm burning fat, I should lose fat. Yeah, but the point is, if you're not in calorie deficit, even if you burn fat or what's not, you will still not lose weight because you will still be eating more than you should. And now you might wonder, but if I remove carbohydrates, what am I supposed to eat? Well, you're supposed to eat a ton of fat and a ton of protein. But the point is that all the other good things in life, well, you can forget about those. Leafy greens, fair enough, you can eat as many leafy greens as you want because they contain a very minimal amount of carbohydrates. But you can forget about all the other good things in life. Say, for example, fruit. Forget about it. Too many carbohydrates. Quite a good selection of veggies. Whoa, nope, that's not okay. And all the pasta and all the grains, all the pizza. What? You had to give up pizza? Well, yes. But the keto people will say, oh, but you can make pizza using cauliflower. Hey, I am from Italy, right? Don't you dare tell me the cauliflower-based pizza is pizza, because that is a crime. I am okay with pineapple on pizza, but geez, cauliflower-based pizza is not pizza. So if you go on a keto diet, forget about pizza. As easy as that. So when you cut most of the veggies, when you cut all the fruits, you also cut a consistent amount of macronutrients that are essential for you. So what you had to do then? Well, you had to go ahead and buy supplement. Yeah, multivitamin supplements are super cheap and available everywhere. But still, if you have a very balanced diet, you might not necessarily need the multivitamin. But well, if you go on a keto diet, mostly probably you do need the multivitamin. And also, you're having so much fat in your diet, so chances are that your blood works might not look as great as it should be. That's another big con. So yeah, it looks like awesome on paper, because yeah, I'm gonna burn fat, I'm gonna lose fat, I'm gonna look amazing, and that's it. But actually, the reality is a little bit different. It's not as simple as that, because we do have our own life. And here comes my short experience with keto diet. When I started it, it was the first couple of days, it was okay. But then, like, consider that at the time I was training karate 4 to 6 times a week. On top of that, I was lifting weights twice a week. And I was walking a lot to commute and go around every day for my daily errands. So my glucose went down pretty fast, pretty aggressively. And when your glucose hit the lowest, you also hit the lowest. And it was miserable. Because you might read online that if you go ahead and decide to try the keto diet, you also might experience what some people refer to as the keto flu. And that's some sort of illness that hits you like a flu or a cold that happens because your body runs out of glucose and it cannot switch to ketones as efficiently as in the wink of an eye. So in the transitory period, you will feel sick. The intensity and the duration of this sickness, though, depends entirely on your body. So for me, it was a couple of days. For other people, it's 10 days, 15 days, and God only knows. And then after that, yeah, you start getting some benefits of it. I did see that my body weight went down. I did see that I looked slimmer. I look a little bit more shredded than usual. But again, that was water weight. So, and I told you, I did this for around 10 to 13 days. And the reason is simple. I said before, life gets in the way. So having a zero carbohydrates lifestyle is very difficult, if not semi-impossible to sustain, unless you live by yourself and you have friends that are all aboard the same boat. Because if they're not, you had to start skipping the social gatherings. If they go out for dinner, you cannot go out for dinner because you might not necessarily find zero carbohydrates options wherever you go for lunch or dinner. And drinks, yeah, you might have some very limited drink options, but then again, it becomes difficult. You're becoming the difficult part because everywhere you go, it's difficult to find something to eat, first. Secondly, if you have a job that requires you to eat and dine with customers, you can't just say, no, sorry, I cannot go with my customers because I cannot have any kind of pasta. Oh my God. It's difficult. And on the other hand, you can't just go say, okay, fine, whatever, I'll have some pasta today, I have a pizza today, and tomorrow I'll go back in ketosis. Well, no. Because if you do break the ketosis, your body will take, again, another few days to go back to it. And you might have to go through the keto flu again, and to go to the first miserable part again. And then again, if you are not in a calorie deficit over time, keto diet will not be a lifesaver. It will not help you lose fat. It will help you lose water weight, but as soon as you decide that you had enough and you go back to having a regular diet, the water weight will come back. And in some cases, it will come back with other friends, because you have been depleting yourself of a lot of delicious things, and chances are, since you're going back to it, you might eat more, and therefore you might be in an even higher calorie surplus, and therefore you might actually put on weight. Now, my question to you is, would it be really worth it to try such a diet? I mean, if you do it for a trial, sure, why not? Why not trying it for the sake of trying? Yeah, of course, it's not going to destroy you. But the point is it really worth it? If it is for a try, whatever. But if it is for a lifestyle choice, is it really worth it? Would you really go down that path? But then, of course, on the other hand, if you go on a low, very low carbohydrate diet, your blood glucose values might improve. And then if you have that need, you should talk to a physician and consider the option of lowering your carbohydrates intake daily. But that's another thing. If you are looking for a solution to lose fat and lose weight in the long term, well, my answer to you is, do you need keto? No. Do you need a sustainable diet that keeps you in a moderate calorie deficit that can still have you have the things that you like, so that you kept this lifestyle consistently? Hell yes. So to everybody that is there being outraged that I say the keto diet is not okay, I do not agree with any type of diet that forces you to remove an entire type of food from your diet forever. Because that is mentally not sustainable, and it's also not sustainable life-wise with everything going on. Unless, again, you have a very specific type of lifestyle, a very specific group of people, and so on and so forth. In my case, after 13 days, I had to stop because I had a company dinner, and living in Japan, rice was definitely a part of it. And I couldn't say, no, sorry, I'm on a diet. So I had to give up that. And honestly, I didn't miss anything. It was very miserable, and ultimately my blood work did not improve at all. Actually, it worsened. Now everything is fine, but at that time, my blood work was worse than I expected. And you don't want to have higher cholesterol in your diet as much as you can avoid it, right? There are many ways to look at a keto diet, so these are just a few of the things that I can tell you about it since I tried it myself. Now, what do you think about it? I'll be curious to hear that. And that's it for today. I do hope I gave you enough information to make, say, an informed choice if you want to really try this or not. But there's so much to talk about it. I really touched the tip of the iceberg. Hey, if you like this podcast, I would appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, and if you could share it with your friends and family, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye!